Alrighty then, the monkey flips the switch. We are live with the Community Gamers podcast. Welcome to tonight. Tonight is a very spooky night. Tonight is Halloween night. We're going to be doing this podcast with Carl and Kevin Foster. It looks like Carl's in the booth with me, but Kevin is nowhere to be seen.
Yep, I am here, and I think Kevin is dropping the kids off at the pool. You know, wink, wink, and then he will be.
I just did that too.
Yep, there you go.
There we
It's
go.
a good night for it.
Hey man, it's a spooky night. You got to empty that load out for way too soon, so that you get scared. You don't want to shit yourself.
Exactly. You know, some of that candy runs right through you, so I got you.
Some of that candy looks like the pool too. Kids in the pool too.
Yeah, I don't think I want a Snickers right about now. Yeah, no.
Not a Tootsie Roll?
No.
All right. Well, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm seeing some stream issues. Windows has been pushing. Oh man, Windows has been pushing some new updates. Same thing with OBS. And there's just kind of been some errors going along the way. So that's just stuff I'm gonna have to troubleshoot as we go. But to everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. And let's get started with this podcast. Jesus. Oh, my God. And Holy Ghost. Got to complete the Trinity, right? I think I lost you there, Carl.
Nope. I'm here yet. There we go. Yeah, you lost me there for a second.
Hello. So let's go ahead and review the week. It's been a while since we've been on. We don't have ASR anymore. ASR is now officially closed out as a league, so we will not be doing that Mondays, but we will be replacing it with DUIs and Dingers, I believe, Truck Series. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. It's going to be starting up, I believe, the 15th, 18th, something like that. Let me take a look at the calendar right now. It is going to be November 18th is the first truck race, and that's going to be a lot of the guys that for those watching here, a lot of the same guys that you see in the core racing series, some in the ASR series, some of them are in there as well. That's going to be starting up and it's going to be running every Monday. So it's definitely a good show. I run with those guys. They have a cup series on Sundays before core, and they're same kind of guys as core. They're good, fun drivers, and you can definitely race around them. So I expect the truck series to be a lot of the same.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes and see how it all turns out. I've never seen you guys race, so you could be blowing smoke up my ass, but I trust you.
Well, like I said, you've seen some of us in core, so you know at least a couple of us. So yeah.
Exactly. So I think you guys are all a bunch of good guys, and you guys drive really well. So it should be a pretty good race, and we'll see where it goes. Also, fun note: we had our first race for the broadcast, which was I'm gonna mess it up right now. ISRC. Let's make sure I got that correct because I could be butchering it. 1 second.
In the meantime, while you're bringing that up, I just got a message from Kevin. He's actually not going to be able to make it tonight, so I actually have Willie on standby. Woo. So I'm going to bring Willie in here in the broadcast and see what he can bring to the table.
Awesome. All right. Well, while you're doing that, let me talk a little bit about ISRC, our new series that's going to be going on before core racing on Sundays. I honestly was really surprised. I've been working with Andrew Combs, the owner of the league, probably for the past month, just kind of getting things ready, talking about stuff, just making sure everything is prepped. I'm going to be brutally honest right now. He sent me a preview or a practice race of a practice session or something of one of the races, and I sat down, I watched the whole race, and I watched it about 4 times speed to like 8 times so I could at least catch what's going on. And I just sat down with a notepad and just took notes. And I saw about like 10 cautions fly. And I was really disheartened. I was like, fuck. Okay, this is going to be a rough one. And you know what? They showed up Sunday, and these guys fucking blew my socks off. They completely impressed me. I'm glad to be broadcasting. I'm more than glad. I'm like proud to be broadcasting their league. It's really awesome. These guys did a great job racing. They do cup cars, and in most leagues you don't see someone take the low line and drop out and then cycle themselves back into a race. These guys did that. I would say at least 8 times. So they noticed that they were in a disadvantaged position, and instead of fighting for it and causing an accident, these guys dropped down low, backed off, and cycled themselves back into the pack. It was Daytona. Daytona is a rough track because it's a lot of drafting. You're talking about being a couple feet away from someone to just locking bumpers. So there was only 2 cautions, but the second caution was pretty tremendous, and it took out most of the pack. But all the way up till that point, it was it was electrifying. I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see. I'm excited for Sunday to have the back-to-back again with that racing coming a little earlier in the day, and then having core. So having like 2 back-to-back broadcasts that are solid, and have a lot of good racers in it. I'm excited, and it's like the highlight of my week.
We appreciate we can make your day like that.
No, dude, it's been really disheartening doing a lot of broadcasting and seeing kind of some races turn out the way they do, and then running across some diamonds in the rough is really nice because you don't really know until at least you've been with the series for a while, or you at least see a race, and these guys they did a good job, and I was super impressed.
Yeah, honestly, and Willa can, I'm sure, back this up, but your league, it doesn't matter what cars you run, it doesn't matter what tracks you run, if you're on ovals, road course, dirt, it doesn't matter what you do and run. Your league is only as good as the members that are in it.
Exactly.
And if they're good around each other and they're fun to race with, and you can hang out with them on and off the track, it's going to make the league so much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're racing legend cars at the quarter or the short tracks and the front stretches like Charlotte or Atlanta and all that stuff, man. You can beat and bang and race all you want, but it really comes down to it doesn't really matter about the cars and the track. It all comes down to the respect that the guys have in the league.
Yeah, and the respect they have for each other. Actually, I believe you just said that, so I just reiterated it. My bad.
But yeah, no, it's honestly though, it's worth reiterating. I mean, that's really what it is. Is you get in a lot of these leagues, and everybody just wants to run over each other because they think, well, I'm the best guy in here. I'm definitely better than him, so I should be passing him. And if they just gave in, gave a little bit instead of just taking all the time, they would have that respect from the other drivers, and they would see that, well, okay, this guy isn't that much of a dick. I can actually race around him. And if everybody had that respect, that's when you're going to have a good league, and that's what we have in core. That's what from what I've seen in DUIs from Sunday nights, that's what you have there. And it kind of sounds like that's what you have with the Sunday league here, that the one is before core.
Yeah, so I'm super excited because I it's another diamond in the rough kind of league that everyone seems to be on the same page, and really seeing that it's awesome. And to run into you guys was probably like one of the greatest things in the beginning, because I ran into a couple of leagues that were just they didn't work out or whatever happened with them on the back end. And it's been kind of a rough ride, just trying to find some, solid content to really push and to really, to want to put my name behind, because, I'm out there promoting them and what they do. And if I'm promoting something that looks like shit or something that doesn't, display sportsmanship in a mentality that I would want to see, I don't want to broadcast it. And, being impressed and coming in with kind of like I was skeptical of the performance just because of the preview clip, but I left enough doubt for not to be judgmental, and it was awesome. It was a good run. It was like watching you guys race for the first time. I was like, fuck yeah, like you guys do this. So
and it's hard making a first impression at Daytona. So it's basically, you can easily make a bad impression at Daytona, but it's really hard to make a good first impression at Daytona. And like you're saying with them dropping off, not having watched the race, it's hard to tell if they were actually dropping off to kind of move out the way, or if they're dropping back maybe for fuel, or
it was probably
what exactly
a little bit of fuel
the thing is. But the fact that they could drop back easily like that and not cause a wreck, that still takes some skill.
Exactly. And to top it off, I got introduced into pretty much your guys' league and what you guys do, and I've had
You don't have to lie. You got thrown into our league.
but I got a lot of detailed information from you guys. So if something happened, you guys would sit down and talk to me like, hey, this is why this happened. On these tracks, you tend to overheat, even though it's a long track. If you're drafting, you're pulling in hot air. It's not clean air. You're going to get hot, and it's going to cause problems. And even bigger tracks that seem like they'd be easier are probably some of the hardest tracks out there, because it's like you're just gripping onto that wheel, and you're making sure that you're not moving as much as possible, because every little arrow, lost forwards, every little change in aerodynamics to just coming up onto a bank on a corner, it could be the end of like 5 people behind you and you yourself if you just decide to move a couple inches or a foot to the left and door someone. And it's in the shorter tracks you can tend to pull away, but on the longer tracks everyone's kind of sucked up together, and when you're running like a pack like that, you have an accident, you take out a good portion of the field, and it's tough.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like when you're racing on, a road course, or even a lot of times on a short course, like you say, you would think that it's more prone to causing accidents and everything like that. But really, that's where it's more prone for, kind of single car incidents where they just hook it themselves. But when you're
Yep.
on, tracks like Daytona, Talladega, even when you get on something like that, like Atlanta, Charlotte, things like that, it's really like you say, it's aero dependent, and your entire pack is pretty much running together. So if one person makes just a little mistake, you're collecting a bunch of guys, whether
Oh
it's
yeah.
they wash up in the corner a little bit, or whether they touch that apron, because on those tracks, as you have high banking, so the transition from the track to the apron itself is so much that you just touch it, and the car is not going to be happy with it.
Oh yeah. And we saw that on Sunday with your league, where you take those DW12s and you touch the apron on that bank, and it literally you see the car lift
Yeah.
and disconnect, and you're like, oh shit, he's gonna spin.
Yeah, and honestly, I looking back at it, I really think it's the fact that we're going so fast
Oh yeah.
is the reason why it actually made it easier to correct the car once it did get down there, because it
The
wasn't easy.
downforce.
Once you start getting a little fishtailing back and forth, it's still not easy to save. But I feel like there's so much air coming because you're going so fast. It actually made it a little bit easier to save. But yeah, I mean that was a prime example.
Yeah.
You just touch that apron just a little bit and just goodbye.
Yeah, it was night night. You going to sleep, and that's some stuff. That's where I really enjoy about your guys' league is I get to see cars and situations that I've never seen before, and we get to sit down and talk about it. And so it's really cool to have just random breakdowns. Like, who knew that you could take MX5s and run these Miatas around a a track, drafting off each other, going bumper to bumper like a cup car. It's kind of ridiculous, but
Yeah.
you never know until you try it.
Exactly, and that's kind of what the what the league is really all about, is just hey, wonder what happens if we do this. Well, let's check it out.
Yeah, and it turns
I
out
like
to be
to
a lot of fun
describe our
racing.
league as dysfunctionally fun.
I wouldn't say dysfunctional, but it's definitely a lot of fun. It's random. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna see that again this Sunday when because Kevin Foster has sponsored the race, for those that don't know, and he's changed the schedule. We're still gonna be running the street stocks, but instead of running the road course at Charlotte, we're gonna be doing the I call it the home away from home for Kevin, because he loves Kansas for some reason. So we'll be doing
Oh
street
shit!
stocks at Kansas, and we did a little practice run on Monday, and it's to kind of
It's
the
a
best way
rough
to
one.
explain them is, well, no, it's actually the best way to explain it is they're pretty much like a, a slightly faster, fatter version of the Miatas. So you're gonna see them, same thing. You're gonna suck up to people a little bit. They don't draft as good as the Miatas, but they will suck up a little bit. But the pack is just gonna be all together, and it's gonna be, you can definitely beat and bang those cars
Yeah,
around a little
I was
bit.
about to
I'm
mention
sure
that.
Willie can agree with that.
The fun part about the
Yeah.
street stocks is you can door some people and get away with it.
I used to be in a league that pretty much ran street stocks at like 1.5 mile, 2 mile tracks, and I mean it was a blast. But I got out of it for my own reasons, just because it was going a different way that I didn't want to. But like
Yeah.
it's a blast running those cars. I mean it's almost like it really is almost like an IROC series. Like the cars are the same, and I mean you slide them and they beat and bang, and they can handle everything you throw at them. But uh, there it's almost like old school racing at the big track. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's freaking awesome. Yeah, I can't
I
wait
got
to
a
see
pretty
it.
sweet paint scheme to go for it. So
Well, I mean, that's half the battle. I mean, you can race as good as you want, but if you don't look good, you ain't
damn
gonna race
right.
good.
Yeah, you're gonna get booted.
Why show up to the track if you're not going to look good?
Exactly.
Exactly. You drive how you feel, and if you feel good, you look good, it's all good.
That's the motto, man. Look good, feel good.
Well, while we're still promoting racing leagues, I'm actually going to be restarting the High Octane series. Day is still undecided, but it should be coming up in about 2 weeks. I got to pick a day and see what works best. But we will be launching the first part of the league, which is going to be a High Octane Light series. This is going to be a rookie competition where anyone can compete. It's going to be a $4 entry, but the winner, first place winner, it's a 6 race season, and the first place winner wins the Pro 4 Pro 2 truck package. So they get a $30 prize. If they've never raced with High Octane and they already have the Pro 2 Pro 4, they will receive money compensation for their victory, and then they will be graduated up into the amateur league, which is going to race Pro 2s only in an open setup. Second place and third place have a option to graduate themselves up to the amateur series, but they can also stay in if they don't have the package and keep racing. And pretty much first place, he gets the boot up, can't come back. But this will allow people to, if they've never raced with trophy trucks and they want to, test their skills and possibly push themselves out of their comfort zone, to try it with the pro or with the the pro lights and see where they go. And if they win the package, then they can move up and join the team. The team amateur is a team race. It's going to consist of 3 racers. We will have 1 on the track, 1 spotting, and 1 reserve. And it's going to be a blast. And hopefully we can build a community where these guys want to work together. They help each other out, and the competition gets pretty tough out there.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of going over the details with you previously, it definitely sounds like it's a cool setup, and I really hope you get some good turnouts, because I think it'll be really cool, kind of seeing the formulation of the amateur series through the light series, and then where it goes from there. It's it could be sky's the limit. I mean, it definitely sounds like it's a cool atmosphere that you're creating. So I'm looking forward to it. Even if I don't get a chance to run in it, I'll definitely watch it from the outside, and it definitely sounds like it'll be fun for whoever's going to be in it.
Yeah, I want to capture some of the team experience that I've seen in a couple leagues, but I think a lot of leagues don't really have that anymore, where you have more of a team aspect, and a lot of people in their team aspect, they just race with friends. This one's going to be at least for the team amateur, it's going to be a draft. So you might not even be racing with your friend, and we encourage that you pick up the second, third, and first place, or if someone is in the light series and you like the way they drive, but they're maybe having a rougher time, you can invite them to be your replacement driver. Have them practice with you and work with you, and work them into your series. And then once we get the team or the amateur filled up and working out, and people finishing multiple times, we have a couple seasons under our belt, then I'll be opening up the pro series, which will be Pro 4 open setup trucks, and that's going to be the full Lucas Oil package. You're talking about all the Lucas Oil tracks, Wild Horse, Wild West, the new one that's coming out. So it's going to be not just the Rallycross free tracks, but it's going to be the full package. So we're going to talk about some just insane door-to-door racing.
Yeah, and I think one of the real things that's going to be great about it and really create a good atmosphere is, probably one of the smallest things that a lot of people may overlook is that reserve driver that each team has. And I kind of I kind of look at it as like Formula One does the same thing. You know, Formula One has a number one and number two driver, but then they also have a reserve driver on the team, and that guy goes through and he does a lot of the practices for the team. He maybe gets on the simulator for them, or he'll test out the parts, things like that. So he's completely entrenched in the team. He's just not getting to run on that day, at least unless they would need, like you're saying, him as a sub. But it gives those two drivers that are actually racing in the series somebody to kind of mentor, and that's really what it should be. And that's why the two guys that are in the amateur series are mentoring somebody in the light series, so that way when they're ready to actually move up, they'll have at least some kind of knowledge of how you need to run, or maybe how you need to create a setup, or whatever it might be. And it's good, because if you have drivers helping other drivers, that's what's going to create the good camaraderie and the atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's what I see with your league, what I saw with ISRC, and that's what I want to recreate that. I really enjoyed the atmosphere that these guys have, and I want to recreate that and bring it to trophy trucks, and I think that's a good way to start. Did I lose you guys there?
Nope, I got you.
Lost
Yeah,
in thought.
Willie, what do you? Yeah, well, I was just wondering what Willie thought of the high octane, and kind of like the whole team atmosphere, because he's racing a bunch of leagues now too. And I'm sure just like me, he's been in leagues where everybody just kind of races for themselves, and doesn't care about anybody else, compared to the leagues where you kind of whether it's team based or not, where you just have some guys that are willing to help each other out.
Honestly, I think it more like ASR. Carl, me and you are on team. We're on Gibbs, and you and Ryan, and then you had Jason come in, and you guys were obviously a little bit better, but it made me want to be better. I think it's one of those things where you can raise somebody who, like me, I wasn't really big into the Xfinity cars and all that, but I didn't want to let Carl down. So I tried my damnedest. I took chances. I stayed out. I got points and did whatever I had to do to get stage points, just so the team could do better. I think a team raises each other up.
Definitely. And that's what I want to create is that kind of that mentality. I know it's going to be tough, because during the process of trying to find the people that are going to want to race in teams, and grow together as a group, event you're going to have to go through a lot of people that race for themselves but still want to be on a team, and that's something that either they're going to have to learn to be team players, or they're going to have to not racing not racing the league, because what I want is I want people to cooperate. I want a good sense of camaraderie. I know people get upset at each other. Shit happens out in the field. That's part of racing, and that's part of life. But all in all, I want to see people even from other teams helping each other out, because it's all about having fun out in the field. And if you're not having fun, why are you racing? Why are you doing anything if you're not having fun? Because there's no real point.
Well, yeah, and kind of the way the whole thing is set up, especially, once the Pro Series gets started up. I mean, it's really the steps that you need to take, kind of as a racer, whether it's online here, or really in real life. In the beginning, you're racing for yourself, and it's all about you. So that's what the Light Series is. You have to prove that you can actually race, and you can race well around others, and you can beat others. That's what the Light Series is going to be. And then you have to learn how to race as a team. You have to race and help the other teammates out, whether it's helping them with the setup, or just running some practice laps, or actually racing and trying to earn points, and you know understanding that if you mess up, you're not only costing yourself, but you're costing the team too.
Yeah.
And then once you basically once you graduate through that level, then you get to the Pro Series, and that's where you prove that you can race for yourself and for a team, and really kind of show your stuff. But it's yeah, I like the way it's kind of like tiered up like that. Like, you have to prove yourself at each level before you can move up.
Yeah. It should be fun. I'm waiting to see where it goes. Enough about promoting, I guess, since that's pretty much all we got under our belt for promoting right now. Let's dive into some spooky stuff for Halloween, I guess. Willie, since you have the most, I'd say, experience near and on a track, What would you say is some of the biggest fears of a driver out there?
Uh, for me, easy fire,
Mm-hmm.
fire, like absolutely scared the shit out of me. Um, that's one of the things like hitting walls and all that stuff, wrecking and all that. I mean, you never want to wreck, but like that was my biggest thing is making sure I had the right equipment on for protecting myself if a fire ever came, and then probably after that is probably being like trapped. Say you're I don't know flipped upside down, and that moment of panic. I've flipped a couple times myself, and that's probably the most. Like I said, next to fire, that's probably the next thing that I would be worried about.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the feeling of helplessness. You're upside down, you're belted in.
Yeah, and you're just hanging
Um,
on that lock, so you can't
you
even
just don't
unlock
know.
yourself.
Yeah, you just don't know. You don't know if someone's gonna hit you. You're helpless. I mean, it's a scary as hell feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Well, and that kind of brings up, kind of a side question that I've always kind of had and I've always wondered is like when you look at professional sports, like obviously, you need to have attendance or have viewers or whatever it is, whatever's bringing the league in money, whether it's baseball, football, NASCAR, whatever you're talking about. But I mean, for a long time, NASCAR was up there competing with just about everything else. I mean, it seems like it's slowly starting to take a downturn. Hopefully, that it comes back up. But I always looked at the money. I mean, when you're looking at, for instance, Bryce Harper for the Phillies is making $330 million. A driver is never going to get close to that. No matter if you're a NASCAR driver, Formula One driver, you could race in every series and compete, and you're not going to reach that kind of money. But in my eyes, the drivers are taking the most risk out of any sport there is. I mean, yeah, of course, on a football field, you can be, paralyzed on one play. And in baseball, it can be the same thing. If you take, a pitcher can take a line drive to the head or something like that. So I'm not saying there's no risk, but every time a driver goes into the corner, there's that risk. And when it comes to baseball, football, you could be on the sidelines for 80% of the game, but as a racer, you're in the game the entire time. And like I say, every time you go into a corner, something can happen. You could be driving a perfect race, blow out a tire, hit the wall like Willie's saying, flip over, and somebody comes and T-bones you.
Yeah,
And it's
you don't
it's
know.
not your fault. It's not their fault, but that's it. And what are you getting to show for it? In my eyes, one of the lowest compensated sports there is. Considering the risk factor.
Yeah, yeah, that's a hard one to say because I think our being kind of like an outside viewer. Once again, thank you for popping in, Bill. Um, being kind of on the outside, I would say maybe society's being, I would say probably, I don't know when the heyday of racing was, but I know that racing's probably taken a downturn due to the fact that people probably think themselves being more environmentally conscious and seeing people driving, high octane fueled cars around a track, like, oh, they're just, polluting the environment. Um, I that's probably why, just because we don't really push fast cars in the sense of muscle cars and stuff like that in society anymore. There's people that like exotic cars and stuff like that, but you don't see people wrenching on their vehicles as much. It's a very selective breed. You don't really see a lot of people getting their hands dirty, and I think that's just as we've changed over the years, we've kind of pushed away from that, and we just take it to the mechanic shop. Well, the mechanic's obviously the one that's going to be interested in racing because he's working on cars and stuff like that. But the person that drops off their vehicle, not having any knowledge about that, it's really hard for them to probably get into that mindset of wanting to watch a race. They'd probably enjoy it if they watched it, but going out of their way to watch a race, it's you have to be really in it to really want to do that, and that's tough.
So you're saying you think that there's more essentially like casual sports fans that will get into say baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is, than they would to get into racing.
Yeah, I think it's easier for them to understand because they see is in baseball, guy has to hit a ball and drive, and you got uh, 4 bases technically. It's pretty straightforward. Football, you just got to get it across the line. I'm obviously simplifying this for anyone that gets offended. This is me breaking it down to the bare minimum, and this is from like understanding paintball. And paintball had a hard time grabbing viewership because it's a very complicated sport, and that's what driving is. It looks easy on the outside, but if you break it down to your guys in the pit crew, like strategies, being out on the track, dealing with aerodynamics, setting up your car ahead of time, all that stuff takes real life engineer work. It takes a lot of wrenching, it takes a lot of time and dedication and a lot of practice, and then all people really see is you going around an oval. And that's hard for them to, I guess, maybe put 2 and 2 together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, it really depends on, what you feel like watching. Like, I guess what, kind of entertains you, because
Yeah,
I mean, anything you could look at it and say that that's, really difficult to understand. And then
true.
you can, somebody else could say, well, it's, like somebody else could look at racing and say, well, okay, well, all you got to do is be the fastest car and get the first across the line. It's that simple. But yeah, when you start diving into it, you have a lot more to do. Like, for instance, I've watched cricket like once or twice in my life. Just like quickly viewed it. But I worked with a guy that was from India, and obviously that's like,
Yeah, it's one
that's
of the
pretty
biggest
much their
sports.
sport.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, it's completely easy to understand. I had no idea what the hell was going on. So it all depends on perspective. But I kind of wonder what Willie's take is on it. Kind of like what I was saying, as far as, you were kind of in at least involved in the industry probably during the peak time of it. Not compared to what it is now. What were the kind of like the murmurs, and what do people think about the pay when they were doing it, or is it just they were just all happy to be doing it just because?
Obviously, back in the day, the pay was good. That's obviously I mean, pay's good. You want to do it, but growing up, it's all about the racing, man. I've grown up with guys that have been doing this 10 years ago. They've been doing it for 50 years. I mean, I've learned from the best. I've learned from guys that know nothing other than racing, and it was just pure wanting. It's competition. It's no different than you look at guys like my uncle, and you guys look at guys like my uncle and Chad Knaus and all them, and I compare them to Bill Belichick, and I mean, you got Bear Bryant and Shula, and I mean, you got all these great coaches and crew chiefs, and history. It doesn't matter what sport. History proves who's the best. The guys who put in the work and who want to win.
Well, I think one thing that racing has that that no other sport has is the guys that exactly what you said. They do it for the love of the sport. And I mean, you go out to any dirt track or anything like that, and you'll see the same guys out there, week in, week out, and they're putting, hundreds, thousands of dollars in their car every week. And if they win the race, maybe they're getting $500. So, that guy that won the race, that won $500 to win the race, he might have put 2, 3, maybe 5, $10,000 into that car just to make it work. And he's not making any money. He's not winning anything for doing this race, but he's doing it for the fun, and he's doing it for the love of it. I mean, racing, and until you get to the higher series, you're not making money. Yeah, it's a losing sport, but there's so
a sport
many.
of passion is really what it is.
Absolutely, it's a sport of passion.
That's how paintball was for me. It's a sport of passion. It's you're
it's how
you're in it.
paintball is now, man.
It had a heyday, and then it became more of a sport of passion where you really don't make any money. Even the pros don't make that much money, and it's all about just being out there for paintball's sakes and just playing paintball for paintball. it's just one of those things that you're doing it because you eat,
You love it.
breathe, sleep paintball, and it's so hard to turn off that switch. It's nutty, and that's probably how it is for drivers.
You want to spread that, like you want to spread that.
Oh
you
yeah,
want to spread that eat love and all that stuff. I mean, I remember when I was racing, and even when I was playing paintball, man, it was like some kid show up with his dad with a rental gun, and you just go
here.
Have a ball with them, man. Go show them. Go let them choose your gun. Let them.
Oh yeah.
just show them the ropes, man. That's the thing, and that's the same with racing. I mean, obviously you couldn't let them use your car, but go have a conversation. Go have a conversation with people, man. That's what I did when I was racing. I might have acted like a dick sometimes, but like I always made sure that you went and talked to people, the
Yeah,
guys who showed up with a open trailer, and you could tell
take
they
them,
wanted
check
to
it
be there
out.
because they loved it. And
Well, and that's the other thing you get at short tracks too. You can actually, like you say, you can go into the pits afterwards. You can talk to the drivers, talk to the crew, anything like that, and you can be fully immersed in it. And honestly, the short tracks is where you know you really kind of fall in love with the sport. At least for me, that's how it was. Is you go to the short tracks and you see all the guys racing, like you say, just for the love of it. It's such a great competition, and like I said, they're not really winning any kind of money. They're doing it just for fun, and to see that, you don't get that in the minor leagues of baseball. You don't get that
No.
in the minor leagues of basketball or anything like that. It's the minor leagues of racing is I think just by far better than any other sport there is.
Yeah, and
you
just
know it's a shame because I mean, like we have a local AAA team here in Charlotte, and them guys play their asses off. I mean, and they don't make any money, man. I wish, I wish some of that racing fan base, like for the lower leagues, would roll over to those sports because there's guys that are passionate about baseball, basketball, football. It doesn't
oh
matter,
yeah.
but I mean, obviously, college football is ridiculous, but you don't have, like you said, you don't have that in AAA baseball or anything like that.
Well, I think a lot of those teams that are, you're talking about big stadium teams, it's a paycheck. It's probably a little bit of passion for these guys, but there's a point where it changes over and it becomes a job. And not in the sense of like a fun job, but it's you wake up and going, shit, I got a game today. And that's when that happens, that's a bad sign.
Well, yeah, it's like I'm
Because the
sure a lot of
passion's
football
gone.
players go through that. When they're going through training camp and they're having two a days and shit like that. I'm sure that's exactly what they feel like.
Yeah.
I got to do
Absolutely.
this day in and day out just to do this. But at that point they're getting paid for it. And even when it comes to college sports, you see it every once in a while where you just feel like there's a player that's just playing.
There's no
He's
heart.
he's really good, but he's just playing. Yeah, there's no heart. He's just playing because he knows he's good enough, and he just wants to get the next level. He wants to get that paycheck. And it's just
Yeah.
it irritates the shit out of me. Like I get it. You're that good to make it to that next or final level, whatever it is. But show some show some compassion for the game, and show some want and drive that the guy that's the third stringer, who would freaking kill to be in the game. He's on the bench because you're out there. You have the skill, but you don't have the heart for the game.
Yeah, but you're the one to make it. They're the one to making the money. I mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
look
Yep.
at what's going
Exactly.
on in Carolina. I mean, we got Kyle Allen starting for us, but we got Cam Newton who we're paying a shit ton of money. But Kyle Allen's playing his ass off. Yeah, he lost against San Fran, but I mean, my man's coming out here and he wants to win football games.
Yeah, he's the type of guy that literally shows up every single day to do something to improve himself. Not the guy that showed up when they request a mandatory practice. And that's the kind of shit that like I guess is it's disheartening a lot of sports because you see it. You see a lot of people in sports, even from a young age, kids getting pushed into sports, and they're doing it because hey, it's a scholarship, or hey, I can it. The love of playing a sport, it it gets monetized so fast. After high school, everyone's just looking at dollar signs. Hey, can you get a scholarship to this college? Hey, can you get a scholarship to this college? Like, when why should he have to worry about getting a scholarship to a college when what he should be worried about is does he want to continue playing? Is this exciting for him? Is this what he wants to do as a career? If he wants to make it a career, then that passion shows, and you see those people excelling right to the top. But when people I guess when people don't have the passion, but they have the talent or the natural talent, and they get the career just kind of handed to them. It's kind of it's a weird feeling to watch that happen.
I mean, perfect example of that is, I mean, look at Antonio Brown. He had how many chances in the NFL? And I mean, my man is naturally God gifted, anything talented, and he acts like he does, and he's been with several good teams lately. My team, but like, I mean, why throw that away? I just that's the hard. I don't want to get into psychology and all that shit, but like, why throw that away?
Yeah, that's I it blows my mind, dude. And I think a lot of it starts at a young age. I think we instead of letting children decide what they want to do, because teenagers are still kids. That's just what they are. Letting kids decide what they want to do and follow their passions. We force them. Hey, dude, keep doing this because you're going to get a scholarship. Well, who cares if you get a scholarship? Play the game for playing the game. If you enjoy it, you're going to keep playing it the rest of your life. You're going to, have your son play it because you want him to, do what you do, or you're going to want to instill the same amount of, competitive edge that you have, whether he decides to play a different sport or not. And it's kind of like, I was never raised in a family that, worked on cars and stuff like that much. And, if I was, I'd probably have that type of, enjoyment for it, just because I'd be around someone that's wrenching on a vehicle, working with engines. And that's the kind of stuff that I think society today is too focused on going to college, and it's like, I don't know, it there's no enjoyment. And you're supposed to turn 18 or 17 depending on when you graduate, and then go to college and do something for another 4 to 8 years. Like, where's what's up?
No, I was gonna say, and it gets back to kind of what you said earlier. It just feels like a job.
Yeah.
And if you're doing a sport, or you're going to college, because that's what you're supposed to do. It's if you don't enjoy it, not saying that hardly any people enjoy college other than good times that you may have there. But yeah, I mean, with a sport or with anything else, like for instance, if you're you're really good at baseball, you can practice all you want, but if you don't really enjoy baseball that much, when it comes to the practicing, you're going to half-ass it because you just don't really want to do it.
Yeah.
But you're doing it because,
You got a
well,
scholarship.
you may be good enough to get a scholarship. Well, but if you don't put in the time to practice and you don't get better, you're not going to get that scholarship. So
And
you really have to do it for something that you love. When it comes to college, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's tough deciding a career at 18 or even 17 for some people, but you really need to decide. Like a lady that I used to work with, her daughters are first and second year in college right now, and the one that is the first year in college, she's talking about transferring to get somewhere closer just because she doesn't want to go to the college that she's at, and she's thinking about changing majors and everything like that. And I said to her, I'm like, listen, no matter what you do, you need to figure out what you're going to be happy with doing. You can't do it for the money.
yeah,
The money, of
money's
course,
nice. It
at
helps.
some point money will help you decide what you're going to do. But when you're starting off, and especially when you're paying 80, 100, freaking $200,000 to go to college,
That's
if you
insane.
don't like what you're going to do, why do it? Like the one the one girl that I talked to, her other girl that I talked to about doing it, like she wanted to go for computers, and she wanted to design video games and things like that. And I said, then go somewhere like a tech school and get in and start getting experience
Yeah.
with a company that'll get you in there as an internship and shit like that. Because if I'm a company, whether it's in construction or whether it's in web design, whatever it is, if I'm looking at two different candidates, one candidate has 2 years of college and 5 years experience on the job, and the other one has a master's degree but 1 year of experience, I'm taking 5 years experience all day
Yeah.
because you have
And
on the field experience.
and those 5 years
So why would
comes
you
with
waste those
references.
years in college?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just the way society's pushing everyone, in the sense of, like, they want you to do this. This is the path you're supposed to take. But I think this comes down to just people not really taking the time. And there's it also comes down to, sometimes you just gotta live life. You gotta say, fuck it, I'm gonna go move out on my own, and I'm just gonna live life and figure out what I want to do, and not go to college, and that's okay. And I don't think people accept that. And so
No.
that's the
Yeah,
hard thing,
completely
is
agree.
you got to realize that there's something out there for everyone. Even if you're working a shitty job, you could find a hobby that is within your price range that you enjoy, and then there you go, boom, you're set. You found what makes you happy in life, and that's all that really matters. Like the reason I'm doing this broadcasting, it's pretty much a second job. I like talking a lot.
Really?
Yeah, apparently I never
I
knew
had
that
no
about.
idea.
I never knew that about myself. I always thought
This
I
is
was really
news to
shy
me.
and I didn't talk a lot, and that's who I thought of myself the most.
Honestly,
Turns
you
out
brought that up.
I'm a loudmouth.
You bring that up, and like, I never would have thought that I'd be on podcasts or whatever. But like, talking to you guys is way easier than like, I don't know, way easier than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah, it's weird, cause you're like I always grew up like I actually have stage fright where I start to like panic and shit. But when I'm
Can
like
you
doing
feed
a pod,
yourself?
what's up?
Have you ever peed yourself on
Yes, I
stage?
have. I was in marching band and I pissed myself 3 times in marching band while marching. So
Oh.
I easily quit that.
It took 3 times. All right.
Yeah, my best friend was doing it, so I was hanging in there with him, but I couldn't keep pissing myself.
But no, I mean, this is a prime example. Like, you're not that nervous on here because you're talking about things that you enjoy, and it's the same thing with Willie. That's why, like you say, you never thought you'd be in a podcast, but it's so easy to talk about shit that you enjoy doing. It doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like something you have to do. So it's easy to just kick back, relax, and throw a couple back and talk about it.
It
Exactly.
also might be the beer.
Speaking
Well,
of beer,
yeah.
I'm gonna grab another one. You guys keep the conversation going.
Fuck that moose guide guy.
Yeah, now that he's gone, fucking
Yeah,
guy
geez,
didn't
we
shut
can get
up.
this podcast started. He's gonna
No, but
re-listen to
it's
this and be pissed.
no. I mean, getting back to the short tracks, like I was saying, that it's a shame that there's not more publicity for them, because it's like I said, some of the greatest racing there is out there, and unless you have a track that's 5-10 minutes away from your house, or people talk about it, it could be a hidden gem that you're not even going to notice that these things are out there.
Absolutely. I mean, so from where I live, in a matter of a 2-hour radius, I mean, we probably have 50 short track, dirt, asphalt, whatever, drag strips. Even I've never been on a short like a local drag strip, but like I'm sure it's the same way. Is it? I don't know. I think it's headed that way. I mean, you see the fans. I mean, you saw the race at Martinsville. Martinsville used to be a waiting list just like Bristol. I'd rather go spend my $30 and go sit in the stands, or not even $30, $10 to go get your family in the stands at your local dirt track on a Saturday night. Bring your own beer, dollar hot dogs, $2 Coke or whatever, and have a good night and watch damn good racing.
Yeah, and like I said, that's really where you get the best racing there is, because they're all doing it for the love of it, and it's the same guys coming out there every week, and they know if they f up, they hit the wall or take somebody out, they're the ones that got to fix their car, and to be able to race that next week, and it's that passion that really drives it, and I think I've said it before on a previous podcast, Pocono is probably the closest track period to me. I mean, it's like maybe 30 minutes from me. The next closest track is, probably I have a couple short dirt tracks that are near me, and I will go to those dirt tracks 10, 15 times a year, and I'll think about maybe going to Pocono once, and usually not going to happen because it's it's better racing.
And
All
I mean,
right, I'm back.
it's it's more fan friendly. I mean, you go to Pocono, you sit in stands, and you watch the cars go by in a matter of 3 seconds. Then you got to follow them down the. Excuse me. You got to follow them down the street between 1 and 2, then the backstretch, and I mean, it's like you don't want to see that shit. You want to see the whole racetrack.
Well, and go back to the fan friendly. It's friendly for your wallet too. You're going to
Absolutely.
Pocono. You're spending you know $200, $300 for a family before you even think about doing anything else. And you go to a local dirt track and you're
That two
spending
hundred bucks
a
gets
hundred
you all
tops.
year.
Yeah, yeah. You can get a season pass for the dirt track that I go to for $300 for the year. I mean,
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah,
You'd
and,
rather
and
spend the
especially like you
300
say,
and go watch good racing,
yeah,
watch guys that actually give a shit, and then, I mean, why go once a year when you can go all for so $200 gets you one race, right? Is what you said.
yep, yep,
So 300, you get what? 15, 16,
yeah,
almost 20 races
yep,
a year.
yeah, about 20 races, yeah, exactly, and coming back to same thing. You can bring your own beer into the track. You don't have to spend 5, 6, $10 for a beer. You can grill on the outside of the track, even during the race, because you can come in and out of the track. You don't have the whole once you're in, and that's it, which is bullshit. I mean, it's I bought the ticket to come to the race. If I want to go out to the car to get something or whatever, and then come back in, I should be allowed to.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
you go watch hot laps. All right, it's gonna be an intermission. You go out there, cook a couple burgers, couple
Yep.
dogs, have a couple beers with your
Yep.
family.
Smoke cigar, fucking relax. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
whatever. Come back in for the heat races and qualifying. All right, they're gonna redo the track. Go back out there, cook another set of burgers and hot dogs, have a couple other beers, another cigar. Come back in for the features. It's a no-brainer. I mean, it irks me. I mean, it really does.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, it's if NASCAR wants to get back to its heyday of having a bunch of fans, it really needs to look at doing shit for the fans. Don't stop trying to create a better product on the track, because all they're doing is just freaking muddying the waters, and it's just making the product even worse. Think about what you can do for the fans, and how to make the fans happy and want to actually come to the track, and not try and just, oh, we got your money now, so this you're going to do what we say, and that's it.
yeah, and that's when you're getting your pockets getting gouged at an event. It's kind of shitty. You know, I don't go to baseball events just because it's expensive just to get a couple beers and sit down. Like, my girlfriend loves baseball. We have the Angel Stadium right down from the street. I'm not a huge fan of baseball, but when I go to the events, I'm like, fuck, there goes a shit ton of money. And I think hockey does a good job of keeping everything pretty affordable, but I think that's a huge thing. Is a lot of these events, they want to nickel and dime you on everything, and it's like, come on, man. If you were in my position, would you want to be paying $10 to $20 on a beer? No, I wouldn't be $10.
Hell
It's
no.
it's like
I could buy
8 to 10 bucks.
$10 to $20 a beer. I could
Yeah,
buy
you could buy a six
two
pack.
cases.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
you're charging me a six pack for one beer, and that beer might even be the shittiest beer out there in the sense of, like, cheapest. And
exactly.
it's
All right, so we went to we got Atlanta, which is like 4.5 hours from us, and we went there a couple weeks ago. First baseball game I've ever been to down there, and it's all sponsored by Miller Coors.
yeah,
But beer outside the stadium wasn't too bad. I was willing to pay the $2 for a Miller High Life or a
Oh,
Miller Light or
that's
something.
reasonable.
That's not bad. Yeah, exactly. But inside the stadium, you still had to pay Miller for Miller because it's sponsored. But we're talking almost $7, $8 a beer, and I'm like, screw this. This is bullshit.
Yeah,
I mean, if I want to pay $8 a beer, I'm going to get what I like.
yeah, and that's the crazy thing. It's just you're. I guess they could probably say, well, we have to pay the person that pours the beer. Yeah, I could see that, but when you're charging me so much for admissions, and say your seats fill, let's say 30,000 people, and you're charging $50 a ticket, I'm pretty sure that covers all the employees you pay minimum wage to work there. It doesn't make sense.
What it kind of blows my mind is, like, me and my brother. My brother's a huge Seahawks fan, and they played Atlanta this past weekend. So he was talking about going down there, and we were looking at tickets and all that. So tickets were like $35 to go see him, and we were looking at beer prices and stuff. But like Atlanta Football Stadium, Mercedes Benz or whatever it's called,
Yeah,
dude, it was like $28 for 4 chicken finger platters, 4 fries, 4 drinks. That's like $7. I mean, and then it was like $5 a beer, $2 a hot dog, $3 a cheeseburger, something simple. Like, I was like, damn,
That's
I'm
good.
I'm not an Atlanta fan, but I'd go there just to watch a football game and
dude,
eat and
$28
drink.
for 4 people. Fuck yeah.
Dude, you go do that shit at like a NASCAR race or something like that. You're
It's a Honda.
$70 in the hole.
Just drop 100 and call it even, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's I don't get it, because there's places out there, like you said Atlanta, you can sell it for that price. It's just what this is going to turn into a business conversation, but this turns into a conversation of what can the market bear, and I think that is a bad mentality when you're talking about fans, because squeezing every fan for nickel and dime, it just makes people have a bad taste in their mouth. They would enjoy it more if they didn't have to worry about their pocketbook too much, and they'd probably spend more too, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Those nights where it's a $2 beers or at a bar or something like that, those nights I probably spent the most money. Because you're buying you're buying shots, you're buying beers for everyone, you're getting pitchers. That's when you really get a lot of money, is from people that are showing up and wanting to be there and spending money, not going, oh fuck, I can't, I can only get a beer and I gotta wean it, and keep sipping on it till the whole 2-hour event's over.
Absolutely. It's like, why? So I drink cheap beer. I pay $15 for a case of beer at most. And why the fuck would I pay for one beer that's not what I want, and half of what I'm going to pay for a case? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's madness.
It's just like anything else. Like when you go to a game, that burger that is nothing special compared to a burger that you would freaking cook at home,
Yeah.
is not worth $6-7, and that's why, like, why the hell am I going to buy a burger for $6-7 when I can cook the same burger at my house for 50 cents? It's just it's a waste of money. Where if they charged half of that, if they charged $3,
$4,
okay,
$4,
what the
yeah.
hell? I'll get a burger, and I'll get one for for the kid or for the wife or for a friend or whatever, because they're cheap enough. And the same thing with the beer. Like if it's a $7 beer, like just make it $3. Like at $3, you're probably going back and getting more
decent.
beer.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you that right there. Fuck yeah. If I'm at a fucking sporting event, whether it be hockey or a race or whatever, $3 a beer, just keep them coming.
Or here, make it easy for the guy that's actually bringing the beer, because he's only making money on tips. Make it a $4 beer. That way you just give him $5 and you're done with it. But no, they got to make it $7. So now he's going to get your $7 beer and then give you change for your 10, because you're not giving him $3 tip on one fucking beer that you're already spending $7 on.
Oh hell
If
no.
you make it 4, everybody wins.
And that's a low end stadium for $7 a beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're talking easy $10 for a Miller Lite High Life, and you're like, what?
Thank God. Like, in the
They're
same
but
way,
it's almost a tall can too. It's not even a full tall can. Sometimes they'll give you like the
16 ouncer.
Yeah, the specialty ones that they only sell at fucking stadiums.
Yeah, and they gotta take the cap off for you too, because God forbid you have a cap on your beer and you throw the cap at somebody. Yeah,
Jesus.
Stupidest thing I've ever seen.
I was the same way at like concerts and shit. Like, so I don't know where you're at, like concert venue around here. We got PNC. It's $13.50 for a 25-ounce Bud Light.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck that $13.50 for Bud Light.
I'd go sober for that.
And
So-
not for
but
nothing.
no.
That's Bud Light. Like if it was a premium beer, it's still too expensive. But
Yeah.
So I found out that PNC serves $4 Busch Light 12-ounce cans. Guess what I drink all night? Thank God it's Busch Light. But the last concert I went to was Luke Combs, and I mean, sold out show. But we showed up probably 3 hours early. We cooked our own burgers, had our own food, had like a little outing, and we bought like 2 beers inside. And that was way cheaper than doing how I've ever done and buying beers in there.
Yeah.
And it was way better.
That just comes with
so much more fun.
That just comes with, kind of people becoming dickheads. Because, I grew up in Riverside, Corona area, and we had this place called The Showcase. It was a non-alcoholic venue, but it was tailored towards teenagers. So you're talking like it was a $10 or $15 entry, something that you could afford as a kid, for the weekend. And they would have anything from punk rock to metal to jazz, and it was a kids venue, and that was there for such a long time, and then it got bought out because it wasn't making enough money, or they wanted to renovate the area or something like that. And that's the kind of shit that pisses me off. Is you have these environments that are fun, they're entertaining, they're affordable. So what if they're not raking in the dough? The people that are doing it is because they love the music, they love the sport, they love the event, and they want to help it grow and get people interested. And when you're charging $20-$25 at a door just to get in, that starts cutting people out of their range, because you're talking about that's 25 to $50 for a ticket. You're talking easily lunch money for the week for someone that works a blue collar job, and that's tough, because now you got to think about, hey, am I not going to eat this? Am I going to skip a lunch, or am I going to go to this venue? And it's, I don't know, that kind of shit is it kind of pisses me off, because people want to nickel and dime and squeeze every little dime out of everyone, and that's not how you build an environment. What you should be doing is making enough money to to keep the business running and get yourself going, and really encourage more people to show up, because the more people that show up, the more people that you're gonna get money off of them. When you're trying to squeeze the last 10 people out there for money, it's you going nowhere.
Yeah, not for nothing, but I think the what people love on this podcast is us talking about beer, because I think we had 5 viewers. We started talking about beer, we went up to 7, and now we didn't say beer in about a minute or 2, and we went back down to 6. So
Jesus Christ! So I'm drinking a Busch
I think we
right
found
now.
our niche.
All right, let's go back to beer. All right,
Yeah,
so
we just need
let's
to talk about beer and dick. That's about it.
beer and, changing this to community beers and dicks. So I got a crazy story for you guys about beer and dicks.
I don't. That's another podcast. We're back up to 7. Back up to 7.
There we go, beer and dicks. Oh shit.
But no, yeah, it's you're exactly right. I mean, these companies, whether it's a company coming into a stadium and trying to make money, or whether it's the stadium
beer.
itself. I mean, there's no reason. Oh yeah, exactly. Beer,
I'm gonna keep throwing beer in there. Okay, so just keep talking about beer.
Gotcha. I mean, there's no reason to gouge anybody. I mean, you already made money on the people coming in. It's not like you're living off those concession stands. Even if it's a company that's coming in here, selling different shit, you're not making that much money. Well, you are, because you're gouging people so much, but there's no reason for it. If you just cut everything in half, you would make a lot more money, because you'd have the people that actually feel like spending it to begin with, let alone return customers, let alone telling other people that, hey, this shit's pretty cheap. Maybe you want to get one too. It's just it's not hard to figure out, but it's just everybody wants to make that quick buck or quick $10 right away.
And I think that's, tying into that, you lose.
Drop down to 6 beer.
We lose this sense of kind of I guess people raising, like, I don't know, you can look back and fathers and sons taking their kids to go to baseball events and stuff like that, and racing events. And it's an affordable. It becomes a family thing. And usually when that stuff's affordable, then they go, oh, let's get a season pass, or something like that. When then it becomes a family event, and then you have a family event that's ingrained in a generation, and then that generation raises their kids to want to go to that. So then as their family expands, you're gonna have more and more people showing up and enjoying the sport, because it's a family event. It encourages people to show up. It's affordable. They can have a good time, and that's where it's, you got to play the long game. You can't just go for the quick buck. And I think that's where nowadays it's all about how fast you can get your beer.
Well, yeah, and it's like you're saying. I mean, when it comes to it, I have a 1-year-old son, and when he gets old enough that he's ready to go to different events, whether sporting events or racing and things like that. Like I'll easily take him to the racing events because up until he's I think 3, he gets in for free, and then after that it's like $5-10 to get into the races. Where if
Oh,
I go to
make
take him to say an
small
Eagles game or
5-year
to a Phillies game, I'm spending 40, 50, $60 just to get
Mm-hmm.
him in.
Yep.
Just make sure he's a small 5-year-old.
Exactly. Well,
Nothing
he's got
like
his mama's height right now, so and she's short
nothing
as
like
shit.
the stunt and
Kids
growth,
eat for
right?
free, bro. Kids eat for free.
But no, it's I mean that's exactly right. I mean you want kids and the next generation to love the sport
Exactly.
if they never get to go there and see it and experience the atmosphere because I think you said earlier about hockey. Like I've watched hockey maybe once or twice on TV, and then I got tucked into going to an actual game. I went to a Flyers game with a buddy of mine, and it is just 10 times freaking better in
Oh,
person.
it's such a crazy atmosphere. It's fun.
Yeah,
I've
and it is, and the price really isn't that bad.
No, it's
especially
affordable.
compared to the other sports.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's what you may lose because now if I want to take them to a Phillies game, I'm spending $60 at minimum on tickets. Then I'm spending another 20-25 bucks on parking, which is a complete other conversation that it's just irritates me too much. I don't even
the
want to get into
parking
right now.
fee.
Yeah, but like so I'm spending $100 before I even get to see the first pitch. Is it worth it? Especially going more than once a year. Then if I want to take him to an Eagles game, I'm spending at least $80 a ticket per person on those tickets, and so now he's not getting to go to there because that's just too freaking expensive. And I don't know. I just and that's back to where it comes where these athletes are making so much money, and it's really where it's coming from right there. I mean,
Yeah, that's a lot of the pricing is to pay these athletes millions of dollars.
yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to stick up for the owners or anything like that, but if they're spending millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars on these athletes, they need to recoup it somewhere, and that's where it's just
Yeah.
effing the fans right over.
And that brings up topic number 2. We need to cut all athletes' pay.
Agreed.
Like I'm sorry, but that's some ridiculous money. Even actors, dude, come on, millions of dollars just to play a role.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
It's
and honestly,
mind-boggling.
I'd like to see where that is in the next 5-10 years when it comes to how much actors are getting paid because out of the last maybe 5 years or so, I've gone to the movies maybe 2-3 times
I stopped going to
because
the movies.
why am I going to go there and spend $20 to see a movie when it's going to be out in 6 months, either on TV or I can rent it on, Netflix or Hulu or whatever kind of streaming service you're using. Why am I going to spend $20 to go see a movie per person? So now if I want to go with my wife and I want to go with somebody else, it's 20, 40, 60.
Don't
for
forget
what?
popcorn and an icy.
Exactly.
Can't dude,
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
just it's crazy. So where these actors going to get their their money
they're
when
not.
everything is just going to get a lot cheaper for watching those episodes? I mean, are they? I'm sure they're still getting royalties because whether it's whatever streaming service they're using is got to give them kickbacks. But I don't know. I just like to see where it goes from here on out.
Yeah, I think I don't know, I think people get paid too much for some of the shit they do, and it doesn't make sense. And I guess I work with some high end clients, and I think one of my best experiences is with a client that that did work his way up, and you can see the difference between clients that had family money and clients that that worked their way up. And it's a different mentality because they look at you at they look at you at and understand like, oh hey, I remember having to make sandwiches at 4 a.m. to get ready, to go to work and be on the clock at at 6 or something. So you have to do all your prep work in the morning and then be there. And they're like, hey, don't worry about it, I'll pick up lunch for you. You're like, serious? I'm like, yeah. Fuck, dude. I make it's like they're making millions of dollars on deals, and they're like, yeah, you really think I'm gonna sweat a $10, $20 lunch? Like that's the kind of shit that like I don't know. It's it's crazy when people start penny pinching when they have that much money. You're like, oh man, like and I don't know. It's just it's a weird dynamic that people become so selfish.
Well, like I was
when they
talking
have
to
so much
a couple of the
excess.
guys in I was talking to a couple of the guys in the bowling league that I'm in on Wednesdays, and they were saying that they heard that there was a guy that put $3.5 million on the Astros to win the World Series. I guess at the beginning of the year,
What?
and at the beginning of the year they were 2-1. So if they won, he would have only won 7 million. I say only in quotes, but I mean how like and the one guy's like, oh, I couldn't ever think about spending $3.5 million on a bet or anything like that. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know if that guy was a multi-billionaire where that's like a dollar to him.
Yeah.
And it's just I can't ever even think of imagining what that kind of money is. and there's actors, like you're saying, actors are one of the highest paid people that's out there, and that's really what it is to them. Is we're spending $100 on something, and we really got to think about doing it. That's like 50 cents to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand with more money, more troubles, but that also
I'll
comes
take
down.
those troubles every day.
More money, more problems.
Yeah, but if you look at some other the people that are in infamous rich positions like Bill Gates, that guy still shops at Walmart. Like, come on, like there's yes,
If I had his money, I would be that guy.
but the thing is, like, you can still be cost effective and not waste your money, but you limit your problems, and it's I don't know. It's a weird, mind-boggling situation. Like, I guess I can't really understand it because I'm not in that situation. But hopefully one day I can be in that situation and then be like, oh, yeah, maybe I should squeeze every penny out of everyone.
Yeah, remember that time I had that podcast with them assholes from that one room?
That was
Maybe
so
I was
below me.
wrong. Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but all in all, I love to see sports kind of have a resurgence in becoming family oriented, in the sense of bringing families to stadiums and not pushing them to watch it on TV. I think watching it on TV is fun. Listening to it on the radio is fun, but I think that's where a lot of money's coming from right now. So I don't think stadiums really want to fill their seats. I think they make more money off of broadcasting than they do.
Yeah.
Than they do actually.
Yeah, they're getting plenty of kickbacks from the TV deals and shit like that, and the sponsors that they get from from the TV deals and everything like that. And it's if you want to watch a race to actually watch the race and get to see everything, especially when it comes to NASCAR or something like that, then then you stay home and watch it. If you want to watch a football game to see the best view and you want to see the replays and everything like that, then you stay home. You go to a sporting event, whether it's sporting event or racing, you're going there for the atmosphere. I mean, I've told numerous people before that the two best sports that I've gone to is hockey because the atmosphere and a U.S. soccer game. And everybody laughs at me when I say U.S. soccer.
Oh,
Go
dude,
to a U.S. soccer game
diehards.
and tell me that the atmosphere is not ridiculous.
It's intense. Those people are diehards because it's not a popular sport.
Well, yeah, that and the fact that you go to a baseball game, everybody cheers when there's a big strikeout or there's a home run or something like that. And other than that, you're sitting on your hands. You go to a football game, maybe if they get a first down, you're cheering a little bit. They get a touchdown, yeah, you're cheering, but that's it. You go to a soccer game,
Dude,
they are chanting the entire time, the
Ole,
entire 90 to 100
ole,
minutes.
ole.
Yeah, it's just unreal. But that's the atmosphere that you get going to a sporting event. You don't get the atmosphere sitting on the couch. I mean, you can crank up the TV as loud as you want and have surround sound and everything like that. You're not immersed in the sport until you actually go there. But you're not going there to really watch a sport.
Well,
you're going there for the atmosphere and to see what happens.
And that's why I watch soccer on the Mexican channels, because when they score a goal, the guy screams it for like 2 minutes. It's the best thing ever.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm there. Yeah. And that's, to sum it all up and kind of start wrapping up the podcast, is, we want to see things grow into a family-friendly environment to where they encourage people to come out to the events. It is nice to have a, Super Bowl game or something like that at home. have all the family over. But it's even better to be able to take your family out, go to the stadium, and have a couple beers, have some chicken fingers, and cheer on your team.
Well, it depends on what team you're at. My family doesn't approve of my team.
A lot of people don't approve of your
you
team.
can go sit in the other side of the stadium.
I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a tough thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like racing has that too. Racing has the teams where you love to hate, and the teams that you root for. But it's really that's really what it comes down to. In my opinion, the atmosphere is not there. For NASCAR, because the product is not as good as it used to be. I mean, like I've said before, you think 5-10 years ago when you had guys like Earnhardt that were just driving away from people, and guys back in the day like Richard Petty where he'd lap the entire field. You think, oh well, that's that's a shitty product. It's just one guy racing, and that's it. There's nobody else that's really in the race. But now when you have everybody bunched up together and nobody's really passing anybody, now is when the product sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I get they're trying to get it close so that there's a lot of passing, but it's when you're watching Daytona and they're just 2-3 wide the entire time and nobody's passing anybody, or they're passing and it's just they're just driving aside. It's not fun to watch anymore.
Yeah, you want to be able to see those people that are outliers excel and just take the field. You're like, oh shit.
Well, yeah, and plain and simple, if you put in the time and the money and you have the best car out there, you should be able to drive away from everybody because you're the one that did the work to get that in there, or you're the one that has the best team. I'm not saying shit on all the little teams or anything like that, but that's it. It is what it is, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
If you're the one that has the best car out there, you shouldn't be the one that's driving in the middle of the pack because everybody's got the same car as you.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know, it's a tough one, man. And my dog says I want some chicken. Sorry about that. But yeah,
Goes good with chicken? Beer.
That's what I'm doing right now. Buffalo chicken and beer. It's so good. I'm not going to say what I'm dipping it in because everyone would probably die. So I'll leave that out because I'm a heathen.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next podcast.
Yeah.
Ketchup?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, he's dipping the chicken in ketchup, man.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, and so the podcast is over. So Willie, me and you are going to go now.
God damn it.
Looks like we're going to need a new broadcaster for Core.
No shit.
It's blue cheese. I know what you're talking.
Barbecue sauce or ranch.
I like the way it tastes,
but not fucking ketchup.
Fuck
He's
you,
trying
dude.
to mask it. He's trying to mask it with beer. It's not. No. Friendship is over.
Well, guys,
I found the real Zima drinker in the fucking group.
fuck you.
Got him.
Well, I guess this is the end of Death by Moose Media, so won't see you guys next week. Won't see you guys in a month. We'll see what happens from there. Oh shit! But yeah, and that's something back to we'll come full circle back to our leagues real fast. That's something we try to encourage with our leagues. It's free. You can watch it on YouTube. It's family friendly. I do my best not to swear as much as possible. And we are all a bunch of good guys out there racing hard. So, tune in.
All of us who don't put ketchup on their fucking chicken.
All right, I'm going to start charging per broadcast. $10 to view, guys. You guys suck. Shouldn't have said shit. Damn it, beer. Why do you make me so honest?
Yep.
Yeah, but I hope everyone had enjoyed this podcast. We kind of went all over the place, but I think we talked about a lot of things that seem to be a little bit reoccurring, but they're things that really matter in the sense of the older you get, you realize that you want friends and family around, and you want to be enjoying events together. And Death by Moose Media allows you to do that, and cheap, affordable beer does too.
Absolutely. And if
Seriously,
you
Carl?
don't like what you hear this week, listen next week. You might hear something you like.
Exactly, and we're definitely changing it up. So stay tuned.
Yeah, because I feel like me and Carl have been on this for like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah, Carl's a reoccurring since he's on core. I'll try and grab some other people.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to start charging.
All right. I'll
Free
just
time.
send you a case of beer. How about that? Does that sound good?
Hey, I'll be a regular if you get me a case of beer.
Oh shit.
No, but I mean, just like Corn, just like the other, the other series that you got out here. It's a good group of guys, so it's always easy to talk to, and it doesn't matter who you bring in here. It's going to be a good conversation, and hopefully some more people hop in here and maybe watch it tomorrow and next day, whatever it is, because it's usually always a good conversation. I mean, everybody that I have watched it, it's they're always that was funny last night, or that was a good point and shit like that, because it's we do like to have fun in here, and obviously have plenty of good laughs, but it's like like you said, the shit that we talk about is the truth too, and it's yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it couldn't said any better. So with that note, I hope everyone has a great night, a great Halloween. Remember, check your candy for razors and poisons. Just kidding. That shit never really happens. That's a bunch of hocus pocus. But
I think it should, not just before we leave, I think it should be mandatory that every Halloween house that gives out candy to kids should give out beer to the dads.
oh,
Can we start that?
Yeah, I could start doing that around my street.
Yeah,
Too
I was
bad no one
actually
walks down my
listening
street.
to the radio the other day, and that's what they do. A lot of the houses do down in Philly. They have a little candy dish for the kids, and then they have a cooler for the dads that come around.
That's freaking dope.
All
That's
right,
absolutely yeah.
Just
And
remember,
the one
happy
guy
Halloween.
said that the one guy said that moms take their kids around trick or treating because they have to. Dads take their kids around because they love them. So you gotta treat them to a beer.
Yeah,
Or that right
candy
there.
dish for the kids and beer cooler for the dads. It
Yeah.
doesn't get much better than that. Happy Halloween. God bless America. I mean, here we are, folks.
Exactly. And I hope everyone has a good night. And remember, if you're drinking beer and walking around, throw your cans in a waste bin receptacle and not at your neighbor that you hate that doesn't mow his lawn. And my dog.
No, you
is...
can throw it at him. Yeah,
Fuck him.
throw your beer cans in his lawn.
Oh, shut up.
Unless he's
Rowley.
Death the Moose.
Yeah. Fuck you. Oh wait, that's that guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Has he popped in today? No, he has not.
Yeah,
I'm
you just
honestly.
explain that to me.
We'll do.
I'll do off mic, but I've honestly been trying to post more things so that I pop up on his feed.
Well, all I know is we're at 100 right now, so hopefully whoever's watching right now can talk to your friends, family, get those subscribes up there so we can knock this guy out the water.
And I forgot to mention that. Thank you for thank you to Randy Post for the big 100. That's means a lot to me. I keep forgetting that I hit 100 subscribers, and it's only been like a couple months. That's the crazy part. I'm glad that we're growing and it's working out. And shit, we'll leave it on a high note. Big 100. Let's try and get to 150 by the new year. Huh? Maybe no. All right, we'll shoot for 120.
Share it on Twitter. Shoot it on Instagram. Share it on
share it on your mom's forehead. Whatever you want to do. Just write it everywhere.
Whoa,
dude, come on.
So much for family friendly. Well, I guess it is family friendly, just somebody else's family.
Jeez, why did
on that note,
I didn't mean it like that. I meant like Sharpie it, but whatever. Yeah. Now that I think about it. See, this is the shit that I say that gets me in trouble all the time. All right, I'm going to end it now.
This is why you only have 100 subscribers.
This is why Apple will not pick us up.
This is why we'll never have a Netflix special. God damn.
Oh, we will have a Netflix special. I've already got that planned. Don't worry about it.
Well, it'll be special, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We need to get cameras on this podcast. Well,
I got cameras. I just, I don't know if you guys got cameras and how pretty you guys are, because that could get really scary real fast.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, we might lose those 6 watchers that we have right now. Well, I guess it is Halloween, so tonight would have been the best night to do it.
Oh, yeah, it would have been.
Well, we'll gain 6 more. You never know.
All right, I hope
Send it,
everyone
boys.
has a good night.
Yep. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Adios.
Deuces.